I'm joined now by the chairman of United Nigeria Airlines, who is right here with me in the studio. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining me this morning. Professor Obiora Okonkwo is here. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you.
Same here.
I'm sure you listened a bit to the newspaper review, the headline review, and my colleagues who just left talking about the fact that the situation in Nigeria is, talking about the economic situation now, is on the dire side. What are your thoughts concerning the goings on in Nigeria? Let's talk about the state of the nation, especially the economy first.
Every woman in Nigeria should be concerned. I am by training an economist. I understand some economic policies, physical and monetary. No matter the best of intentions the government has, it may not be achieving the result that they expected to. There's nothing wrong in sitting down and reviewing to say, we tried this, it didn't work, we tried that, it didn't work, and today we have to change this direction. There's nothing wrong in that. So it's something the government must be bold to do, especially now we're heading towards our national day anniversary.
Okay.
A lot still has to be done. It is not enough to continue to say we met a bad situation. It's obvious to everyone. By continuing to say so, they're actually demarketing the nation and stigmatizing the government of APC, which is for us, is a continuous one. After all, there have been so many cases a new coach is employed to take over a football club that is on the lower part of the league. And that person does a magic with that, bring engineering it, repositioning some players, re-energizing them, and then bringing them up to even to win the cup. So that's what we should be expecting. And I have no doubt that the president of the nation has such intention to lead a winning team, but the circumstances of his coming to power was too much of a struggle. First, he had to fight in the internal politics of APC to pick the ticket, had to fight a very big battle to win the national office, which is the office of the president, and then went through very serious court process to legitimize his victory. During those processes was when considerations from ministers, nominations, appointments that were made. No doubt there would have been some influences, then to balance some interest, but none. His 1 year in office, all the court cases are over. He has prepared for this office for a very long time, as far as we know. It's time for him to work for legacy.
So is that why we are hearing talk that he's likely to reshuffle his cabinet?
Oh, this is long overdue. As a matter of fact, in one of my public appearances, I had requested for this reshuffling even at the anniversary of his 1 year in office. And there were feelers that he was prepared to do it then, and then we thought it was going to happen at May 29th celebration, June 12th rather. But, it's long overdue, and they should not wait any more time. And when that is going to be done, there is need for a very good focus on other members of the team that advise him on the economy. We want to see more of an infusion of people that do have exposure to World Bank and IMF, especially now we had in Onga, the vice president requesting for debt pardon and reshuffling. I had also said publicly a long time ago that one way for this administration to have a breathing space is to, on short term, negotiate for our debt rescheduling and then probably go for debt pardon like Obasanjo did during his administration. But that cannot be achieved with team who are outsiders of World Bank and IMF. So I hope that appointments should be able to consider those, especially in the financial sector.
So you arguing or saying this now that President Tinubu should look at people who have experience with the IMF and the World Bank,
especially in the finance area.
In the financial area.
Yeah.
But what I hear on the streets, especially in the news this morning, there's talk of another protest coming up, and one of the things that group talked about is the fact that they want government to stop the neoliberal policies that is seen as the specialty of the IMF and World Bank, the Bretton Woods institutions especially, which they think have caused the hardship that Nigerians are going through right now. Why do you think that? Oh, let me just hear your thoughts on that.
Before then, let me correct. I was saying the need for these people that have exposure to IMF and World Bank is not necessarily to bring their policy into Nigerian system, but rather to enable the discussions and negotiations for the expected debt pardon and rescheduling, which was a major statement on international platform of UN UNGA by the Vice President of Nigeria a few days ago. Because this can not only be achieved from political or diplomatic platforms. A whole lot of relationship and underground discussions are expected. And we were able to achieve that, knowing that Okonjo-Iweala and her team were quite rooted in those systems. But you need an insider in some places to get such a thing done. That's different from... So I'm not advocating that government should accept dictates or policies of IMF and World Bank. It's been known world over that these things sometimes come with a whole lot of pains, to the people, and sometimes it does not achieve its purpose because these are done from the books and from very far from the place of implementation. So I won't be surprised if people will have to hit the street for that. But however, what they might be referring to was probably the program of floating the Naira. To the best of my knowledge, and as an observer critical on the Nigerian system, Naira has been technically floated in the last administration. If you remember, before the end of Buhari's tenure, there was official and unofficial rate for Naira. The unofficial rate was floating on the last day for about 750 Naira thereabout, and then official about 440 in between. Technically, for me, I've said it over and over again, and I continue to repeat it. Naira has no business, even in the current situation where to be above 1,000 Naira. So that time Tinubu came in, the realistic value of Naira could have been about 750 Naira plus minus. So all they needed to do was to find a policy that would have not allowed some racketeers, some speculators to come and overblow this whole thing outside outside the state. They're able to manage it. I still believe this can still be brought below 1,000 Naira with the right policy. The loan you took from your bank last month should go higher with MPR. The jobs that are supposed to create are dropping. We need to simulate the economy. I want to start talking about this, our economy beyond oil, the barrels of oil we pump. There was a time we had this, even the time we had so much oil at the beginning of this oil boom. It wasn't really, the government used that for infrastructure and all that. But the business and the economic activities were moving smoothly with or without oil. There were fewer in the
agricultural sector.
There were fewer importers who really needed foreign exchange to import. A whole lot of things were done in Italy and people were happy. At that time, they don't even care who their governor is, talk less of who the president. So we can still have a huge economic activity, a huge economy outside the oil sector.
Okay. Talking about reshuffling his cabinet, there was a minor reshuffle in the security sector like a month ago, thereabouts, when the DG of the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, or the National Intelligence Agency now, and of course the Department of State Service, the DGs were replaced. So we now have new men at the helm of affairs, talking about the intelligence sector there. Well, what are your thoughts on especially the appointment of a new DG for the DSS?
Yes, yes, this is also a good sign that probably Mr. President is now prepared for reshuffling. Because you know, these people, the heads of these two agencies you mentioned, he inherited them from the last administration, which is usually not common, you know, because if you take, for instance, the office of DG DSS, it's one of the most important offices in this nation, because they are the people that have capacity to oversight any aspect of government. You know, you may know that DGSS is the one person who has dedicated entrance to the office of Mr. President, even to his bedroom at every given time. And it's equivalent of the head of FBI in the United States, and the FSB in Russia and the Scotland, as you may know. So now it is also one of the best appointments, if not the best, as a matter of fact, I've seen Mr. President made in this administration. First of all, his predecessor had appointed DGs from retired members of DSS. All right? There are those who are retired, though. So now this is the first time in about 10 years we are getting an appointment of the head of the agency from an active staff of that agency. And it's not just an appointment from the active staff. The number one person of that agency, the oldest active staff of that agency, was appointed in that seat. So this is not a case you have seen in other military. A whole lot of people were sent on compulsory retirement to accommodate a particular person of interest. And beyond that, if I go by the jubilation and the excitement that we have seen, you know, visually from the videos, it is testament that the people there know who their appointee is and are very happy with him. And having seen the last 2-3 weeks of his activities, which followed by the newspapers and other, you know, other inquiries I do make around, it seems that this is a typical case of round peg in a round hole. And what he has done in the last 1 month, the calm and the stability we've had in government, even policies, will not be far away from what his office is doing. Because, you see, DSS can actually set up a shadow government of the morning before engaging in any activity should be to read the security report coming from the office of DSS. And the last thing he would do before going to bed is to read security report coming from the office of DSS. So in this case, these are the people. And this same also applies to the governor and the local government officers. So if there are things he's not allowed to see from people around him, which we know the case of caging the leaders, these things will be coming from the office of DSS. For him to really know, he will repeat this reflection of the right appointment in other ministries that are having entirely a different story to tell. I still believe in this country, and we have no other place to be. It's our responsibility to make our contribution.
Okay. Now, let's go to your area of operation. You're chairman of the United Nigeria Airlines, and we know that a memorandum of understanding with Boeing has been signed on dry leasing. Why did the airlines decide to do this? Why is government going in this direction?
There was actually a memorandum of understanding with Boeing recently in Seattle, which, by the special grace of God, I was present. But it wasn't on a dualism.
Okay, so what
Boeing
was it about?
signed a memorandum of understanding with Federal Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. And basically, it is just a way they had to come in to support sustainability of aviation industry in Nigeria by providing them some technical support, workshops, capacity development, and improvement on infrastructure. That is what it's all about. And that is coming out of the fact that the focus for aviation growth in Africa, craft in